I don't find the sport violent when you're actually playing. When you're watching it for a spectator, it's quite aggressive, violent. You know, some of the guys are very, they look very angry some of the time. And when you hear the chairs hitting together, it can be very loud, like, especially when it echoes around big arenas, like London. But when you're actually playing the sport and when you've had a go, it's completely different and it's not really that violent at all. It's one of those things really where, you know, you wake up and I'm doing a job that I want to do and I love doing. I've always wanted to be an athlete, so I wouldn't ever class training as a chore, but some days you just don't want to get out of bed, your muscles hurt, you feel physically drained, and you have to because it's your job. So some days it's harder than other days, but the good thing about being in a team sport is if you're having a down day like that, or you know you're feeling particularly tired, you've got the rest of the team who can say, come on, you get on with it. You get used to it gradually. Training becomes a little bit easier the more you do, but it's always hard, and especially leading up to big competitions. Sometimes we have to be up at 5 a.m, and no matter how used to it you get or how your body gets, it's still draining and it's still physically tiring. Towards the Paralympics or any major tournament, you have to train 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. It's really hard. We do sort of 3 to 4 hours a day, just general skills in our chair, and then you also have to do weight sessions afterwards, sometimes swimming for an hour and a half. And then some days you'll have days which are like active recovery. We don't have to physically train, but you still have to go for a 10-mile gentle push, but it's still 10 miles. When I first went to watch the game of wheelchair rugby, I just thought, wow, and I just saw all men. I didn't see any females. And so originally I didn't know if I could play. I was like, am I allowed to play, or is there a women's team? I was a bit confused like everybody else. When they first see it, they're like, is there a mixed team? They don't really know how it works. So when I first went, I was a bit confused, but then the guys were like, no, you just play with us and you get involved. And then I started training with them all. And at first it was a little bit daunting, not because they're all men, but I was used to playing with all female. So it was just a change, it was just different. So to start with, I just thought, okay, this feels a bit strange, but I'll get on with it. And I did, and then after, say, 4 or 5 months, it just felt completely normal. And I didn't feel like I was the only female playing. I used to play girls rugby. It's not actually that similar to wheelchair rugby. There's a lot of differences. Wheelchair rugby is only called wheelchair rugby because of, I guess, it's hard hits and things like that. It doesn't actually have any rules similar to rugby whatsoever. It used to be called murder ball. That was the first name for wheelchair rugby, but they couldn't call it that for obvious reasons. When you get to top sport, you can't call it murder ball. I had my accident back in 2006. It was just at a party in a swimming pool, private pool, and it was just one of those freak accidents, really. It could happen to anybody at any time. I just dived into the pool and I hit the bottom, broke my neck instantly. So got taken to hospital and got sorted from there. My disability is called C6 complete. That's the spinal term for it. And basically it just means I'm paralysed from the chest down, no function whatsoever. My arms still work, but my fingers don't move. And I've got no feeling below the level either, so. I went to Stanmore, spinal unit, and I was there for nearly 5 months in total after rehab and physio and everything that you have to have. Basically on a day-to-day basis, you have to go through learning daily tasks again, getting dressed, feeding yourself, basic simple things. When you have a really big accident, you have to learn everything again. So you spend days doing that in the morning with an OT, and then in the afternoon you'll have like physio. So physio will come and stretch your legs and, you know, do different exercises, and then you also have to learn how to move again. So just generally getting in a wheelchair and pushing around, because when you have an accident like that, you become so weak that your muscles just don't work. So you just, even sitting in a chair for 5 minutes is a hard work. Every one of my family, uncles, aunts, cousins, rallied around the whole family to make sure we were all right. And so from the moment I was in hospital to now, every single one of them were at London with me, you know, and they came and supported me with red wigs on and Team Kylie t-shirts, and they were there the whole step of the way. So my family have been there from when I left hospital to where I am now, so they've been a massive part of my life. We haven't heard too much yet about the Olympics or Paralympics. We don't know too much about it, but we do know that obviously we've got to train hard. There's a big difference at the moment between Europe and the rest of the world, like Australia and America. They're just so strong, and if we want to compete with them and win medals, we've really got to work hard.